Today, I'm joined by Jess Martin, business mentor, podcast host, and founder of a multi-six-figure personal development brand for women in business. After leaving her career as a lawyer, Jess built a freedom-based business from the ground up and has since helped hundreds of women create more wealth, freedom, and alignment in their lives. In this episode, we're diving into subconscious reprogramming, feminine leadership, visibility, money beliefs, and what it really takes to become the woman who can hold the life and business she desires. This conversation is powerful, honest, and full of the kind of perspective shifts that stay with you. So if you're ready to think bigger, move differently, and stop playing small, you are going to love this one. Let's get into it. I have to say, I am just so excited to meet you like one-on-one. We were inside of a mastermind together, and you totally stuck out to me. I'm like, that girl is like giving like elevated vibes, very much giving like about her business. And I'm very much magnetized to women like that. So I just really admire what you've been building. I've admired the brand that you've built. I love the work that you do. I love like the values and the integrity behind your work. I really respect it. And I love the way that you carry yourself. So I'm always curious to understand, like, how did this woman become to be? And what's her story, you know?
Yeah.
So,
well, can I just say likewise, I love watching you build your brand. And in the short amount of time that I've known you, I've also seen your brand just take off in such a premium way. And I know your clients are getting amazing results. And so, yeah, it's just been such an honor being a part of your brand and your growth and just knowing you as a human being. So I'm very grateful and I'm excited to be here.
Thank you.
My story is one, I always say, like, how long do we have? Because what you see online today is definitely not how it's always been. And I'm one of those people who has experienced slow growth when I really do think about it. So my journey started in 2018, really, when I was working as a lawyer and decided that career path was not for me. It went against all of my values, my top one being freedom. And so I was on a mission to find a way to build something online that would create this life of freedom. So I actually jumped into network marketing and grew that business for about 2.5 years. And if you go and look at the content from those days, the contrast is going to be crazy. Like just the cringy.
We evolve. Listen, we evolve.
The cringy stuff I used to do in that business, my God. So grew that business, and for 2.5 years, I poured my heart and soul into trying to grow that business, and it never really took off. And I grew up in a family where I was told, if you want to create success, you simply just work harder for it. And so before and after working in the law firm, I was glued to my computer doing everything when it came to growing this network marketing business, and it just never really took off. And so after about 2.5 years, I took a step back and really had to ask the question, what in me is blocking this? Because I'm working so hard right now. There's possibly nothing more I could do. Something in me is blocking the money and the clients and the growth that I could see so clearly. So I spent about 12 months really just diving deep into my mindset, and my expertise now lies within the subconscious mind. So really understanding what my subconscious program was when it came to money and to success and what success looked like. And what I found was what I was trying to create within the online space and that subconscious program I had were completely opposite. So I've had to do a lot of inner work on myself to get to where I am today and for you to see the woman that you see online. And I always like to share that because, yeah, you see the beautiful events that I host and the photo shoots and the launches, but much like your listeners, I'm sure I've had to work my butt off to get here. That's look physically, but also a lot of the mindset work. But I feel like I've finally found my feet after all of these years. Things are clicking finally. You know, when you're in that momentum and you're like, this is where I'm supposed to be. So yeah.
Hell yeah. That's amazing. I love honoring the journey.
Oh.
And I was kind of surprised. I didn't know that you started out in law. So, like, was there, like, a moment when you were in that career where you were like, "I actually am about to go a completely different
It
route?"
was it was a moment, and I remember it like it was yesterday. So for context, my entire life I wanted to be a lawyer. If you ask me from the age of 5, what do
Okay.
you want to do when you grow up? It was always law. And so I got really good grades.
Okay. What attracted you to
Honestly, I
law?
don't know. I have no idea. I think it
Okay.
was the fancy suits, the money, and
Yeah.
I've always looked up to like power women, again, the vision suits
Oh,
and
hell
being
yeah.
in the
Me too.
courtroom and the money. And so I was attracted to that element of law. So as I've mentioned, all my life, that's what I
Mhm.
wanted to do. I got really good grades at school. I smashed my way through university. I moved to the Gold Coast, which is where I live now, landed an incredible job the first month I moved. Like everything in that part of my life was moving along so great. And I was 2 years into this law career, and I was sitting in my backyard, and the download just flooded my entire body. You are not supposed to be here. This is not the career path for you.
Mm.
And I think what was making this more felt more than ever was because I had just moved away from my family. And so I couldn't just get on a plane and go home and see them whenever I wanted to. It really didn't sit well with me that I had to ask a boss if I could go home and spend time with my family. And I was just like, what is this? Like, I cannot spend the rest of my life on somebody else's time. So, yeah, that moment was so clear. And I ripped out my journal and I just sat with the thoughts, okay, if you could have any life you choose, what would that look like? And pages and pages and pages in this journal were filled with this life that was so different to what I was building, but it ultimately was the ability to earn an income online, have the freedom to go home whenever I wanted to, and just have space in my life. One thing I love about myself
Mhm.
is I've always followed the breadcrumbs. Whenever I get an
Mhm.
idea or I'm curious about something, I just dive straight in and figure out the next steps once I'm walking the path. And so I always share that because some people always ask, weren't you disappointed that you've just spent so much time at university and so much of your life building up this career? Weren't you afraid of what was going to come? But I never had that feeling. It was pure curiosity and trust that whatever was around the corner was the next step for me. So yeah, and that was the start of it all, really. That one moment in my backyard. And it was actually a book, and I always talk about this book. It's called The Answers. And if you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. And it just asks really questions
Okay.
about what you want your life to look like, the quality of lifestyle that you want to be living. And they seem like such simple questions, but I know there are so many women living a life and they're not asking these questions enough. They may have asked it 5 years ago and now they're here, but we really should be asking these questions more often. Is this it? Is this the life that I want to be living? Am I operating at the level I want to be operating at? And if there's any indication that something more is out there for you, I think it's our responsibility to dive straight in and find out what that is.
There is so much wisdom inside of us. And I feel like we look outside of ourselves so often for
Mm.
guidance instead of just pausing and asking our own brilliance, like, what is right
Mhm.
for me? And taking a moment to listen. And I think that what causes that is when we are just chronically living in a state of survival, chronically just trying to survive the day, just trying to get by. And we're going to stay there unless we take the opportunity to really
Mm.
pause and listen. Like, what do we really want? If we don't do that, we're going to live a life of
Yeah,
resentment.
for sure. And it's that pause that we don't do enough. And it's in those moments of pause that you do find all of those answers. Which is crazy to think that we
Mhm.
live in such a chaotic, busy life that we're not pausing enough to find that wisdom inside of us that, as you've mentioned, we all have. We all have.
I want to talk to the woman who's carrying a lot right now. The one building the business, leading the team, holding down the household, and showing up for everyone who depends on her. I know you embrace operating at a high level, But lately, maybe your body feels like it hasn't been keeping up. The fatigue hits in the afternoon, your stomach feels bloated more often than not, your hormones feel unpredictable, the weight is not responding the way it used to. And the brain fog, not exactly helpful when you've got decisions to make. And what's frustrating is you're already doing the things. You're working out, you're eating clean, you're buying the organic groceries, but the labs keep coming back normal, and no one has actually taken the time to figure out what's happening inside your body. And let's be honest, you don't have the luxury of spending the next 5 years experimenting with your health. You've got too much going on. And shrinking your life because your body can't keep up? Not an option. Radiant Health Mastery is my private VIP one-on-one coaching experience for women who want their body performing at the same level that they do. Inside this 4-month program, we don't guess. We get to the root of the problem. We run industry-leading functional labs to uncover what's actually driving your symptoms. Then I build a customized healing protocol designed specifically for your body. Inside Radiant Health Mastery, you receive 4 months of private one-on-one coaching, bi-weekly mentorship calls with me, detailed one-on-one lab reviews so you actually understand what your results mean and what we're doing about them, plus 3 advanced functional labs covering hormones, inflammation, cognitive function, and gut health so we can stop guessing and start solving. You'll also have VIP text access to me between calls for support in real time, plus access to my private vault of masterclasses so you deeply understand how to support your body for the long run. This program is designed for the woman who prefers the accelerated route. She values privacy and she wants direct access to her mentor. And she understands that when her body is strong, sharp, and resilient, everything else in her life expands with it. Because the goal isn't just weight loss, it's energy that lasts all day, clear thinking, and a stable mood, and the kind of confidence that comes from knowing your body can keep up with the life you're building. Now, I only take on a small number of clients at a time because this is deep, private, one-on-one work. So if you're ready to stop guessing and finally get answers, you can apply for Radiant Health Mastery at the link in the show notes. If this is you, get your application in today. I think we're busy, but I think that we are ultra distracted today. I think that we are distracted as fuck. Like, so just consuming so much of everyone else's lives. And if we would stop consuming so much of everyone else's lives, we could get better in tune and in alignment with who we want to be and what we want our life to look like. And from my own experience to what you're explaining of like getting in alignment with what you actually want for your life, you've got to remove the noise. If you got to pause, you got to ask yourself big vision questions and be courageous. And I just want to highlight that, like, good on you for leaning into the courage of leaving a career that you thought was your mission and listening to a voice that was really probably terrifying to listen to. Like, I think you are such a fucking boss for listening to that voice, not only listening, but acting on it. Like, that is extraordinary. And I'm so happy for you because I can see you thriving where you are now. I knew there was going to be a cool story behind where you are today. And, you know, another piece of this that I think is relevant to launching a business and becoming an entrepreneur, and like the thought that comes to me when you were explaining your story and like you're coming to was like who you have to become to hold the business is way more challenging in my perspective than the business strategy itself. That I've been seeing other business owners and entrepreneurs like make that statement on social media recently, and I really resonate with it. I'm curious how you resonate with that. Like, do you feel like the person that you have to become to step into entrepreneurship and holding a business is more challenging than operating the business itself?
100%. Because we aren't told that growing up. Again, if you live in a house, if you were raised in a household like I was, you are just told to work harder and do more. And so when you are doing all of that in your business and you are showing up and you're following the strategies and you're ticking the boxes off and you still aren't where you want to be in your life, it's because of this inner programming. But they're not the conversations we were having around the dinner table. Work on yourself, pause, listen within. Like, it's just not a part of our hardwire. So I think it's the hardest realization for entrepreneurs to have. If you aren't where you want to be in your life and in your business, it's because you aren't the woman who can create it and hold it yet. And that's like a slap in the face, because you can't blame the content strategy.
Period.
And I think so many women, like, not to put women down ever, but I think so many are hiding behind the algorithm, blaming the algorithm, hiding behind their schedule. Life's too busy. I've got a lot going on. There's always something else we can blame. But the reality is we are creating every outcome in our life and in our business. And the lifestyle you currently have, the reality you're currently living is so because that's the one you're a match for. And so if you want anything different, you need to become someone different. And it's the most challenging work you will ever do on yourself. I give my clients questions all the time and I say, give yourself 2 weeks at least to find the answer to that question, because this is going to require you to go to the depths of you and parts of you that you have never uncovered before. Again, the conditioning covers all of this stuff. I always call it the subconscious program is like it's under a trapdoor, and that trapdoor has been closed for so long and you're running around so busy on top of the trapdoor. It's time to open it up. It's time to dig all of this stuff out that is keeping you smaller than you were supposed to be when you were born and, you know, you chose this lifetime. So I 100% agree.
What are some of those like common things, those like beliefs that women don't even realize that they have, that are like keeping them small, that are keeping them in that like dodging the big life that they know they really want?
The biggest one I see for my clients, because they want a lot of money, they want a lot of visibility, they want to be the best at what they do, and they're not shying away from admitting they've got the skills for that, they're qualified for that, and they're ready to play the game. Like, they are all in. I think what surprises them the most is what they consciously want isn't what they subconsciously want, because of some childhood memory or some trauma that happened in the past that is tied to them having the very thing. For example, a big one that comes up.
Wow.
Consciously, they want the visibility online. They want to have the best program within their space. They want eyes on their work because they know it is so good. But their little inner child, if you want to call it, their subconscious program, all their life they have been told, don't be so loud, don't be a show off. Nobody likes people who are, you know, taking up too much space. And so while consciously over here, they believe they're ready for the main stage, that little version in them is praying to God that they just hold back, because they are afraid of what will truly happen if they do step into that success that they consciously want to create. And I think that always gets my clients the most, because the moment you word it in a way, they're like, oh my God, yeah, I'm scared of success. They're not so much scared of failure. They're scared of what will actually come on the other side of getting everything that they want. And it's not to say that something bad is going to happen, but it is going to require you to heal parts of you that haven't been dealt with. And another one always is money. The unfortunate truth is we live in a world where it's more normal to struggle financially, whether you are struggling because you have no money or you're struggling because you have a lot of money and you're struggling to manage the money. But needless to say, we live in a world where the money mindset of so many women is terrible, and yeah, it needs to be upgraded in order to hold larger amounts of money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The latter one, I grew up as I was a showgirl, like very much loved all-star competitions. I was a competitive cheerleader. I was a competitive dancer. I loved competition, and I loved being on stage. It was like I really embraced it. But when I stepped into entrepreneurship, I realized that I had a lot of subconscious coding around holding wealth And I grew up all my life in church. I was a minister's daughter, and it definitely was programmed that, like, if you have money, you're a selfish, greedy person.
Yeah.
And I literally believed that, like, my whole life. I was like, those people are so greedy. They're so selfish. They should just give, 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 give. And that belief dishonored me so much, and especially in business, and especially when I was like really early in business. And like what I see in a lot of like really early stage business owners or like startup businesses is women thinking that everyone else is in the same financial situation as them. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, I don't want to charge anything because I like don't want to inconvenience, or I don't want to create pressure or stress to my clients. I just want it to be as cheap as possible, and da, 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 da. And in that scenario, what would you say to a business owner that is like scared to give their clients the opportunity to make a big investment?
I just want to go back to what you were saying around being afraid to make a lot of money. And this comes down to the nervous system work, going back to how much work should we be doing on ourselves in a situation like that, which is quite common. Women were raised on the belief that, they'll be bad or greedy if they have a lot of money. Essentially, that coding in the nervous system is now money is a threat to your survival. Something bad is going to happen if you do have money, such as you'll be removed from your community. Nobody, in your community will relate to you anymore, and you'll be cast as the devil within your community. And because our primal desire as human beings is to be part of a community and to be relatable, now what we're looking at is an imbalance between the desire to have money and the desire to be a part of a community. And the community aspect is always going to take reign over the money aspect, just because of the way that we have been wired. We didn't need money in the caveman times. We needed a community to survive. So that's always going to take reign. And so again, this is that nervous system, that subconscious reprogramming to code a different belief and a different story into the subconscious when it comes to what it will actually look like and mean when you do have money. But just moving on to the question, what I would say to someone if they are still keeping their prices low to please those who don't necessarily want to spend their money. I think you almost said this. There are so many out there who do have money and they want to spend their money on your services. They value quality. They value getting help with their health, with their business, and spending money on something like that is actually something they've been programmed to do. So growing up, they were told invest in your health, invest in your business growth. Or if it wasn't something they were programmed growing up, they've at least worked through it now. They're genuinely scoping the internet right now, looking for somebody like you. And what I've been talking about a lot in my world is price is actually a representation of the value they are going to get. So you're not always doing people a service by keeping your prices low. And in fact, if they are too low for the value you provide, it's very likely these premium clients that you want to be working with are stepping straight over your work because they can't see the perceived value based on that price tag that you have attached to it. So it's not always about keep my prices low and be a good citizen in the world and do my work, do work for free. But it's about how can I position my work in front of people who will then see it as exactly what they need and want and therefore benefit from my services.
It's so psychological. Like pricing is so psychological. I really did not realize it for a long time. And then I learned like there's a lot of strategy behind it, positioning. Like your price is a part of your marketing strategy, in my opinion.
And it's the perceived value effect. You think about yourself as a buyer. When you are strolling through the shops, you always assume the higher priced product is better quality. And it usually is, not always, but we assume that. And that's how we can tell the difference between a good quality product and a shit quality product is that price tag. It's the first representation we have before we actually make the purchase. So yeah, there's so much psychology behind pricing and really being able to position in a way where it is going to showcase the value of your work, you're going to be able to receive that sum of money within the nervous system, and it makes sense for what you provide within this world.
Mm-hmm. I price my service based upon the transformation that my clients experience. And if you look at how my clients have transformed the functioning of their brain and the functioning of their system and have literally turned their life back on and saved relationships and changed the trajectory of generations to come and their health experience, that's what I honor. And I also honor in my pricing a price point that allows me to dedicate the appropriate amount of time to each one of my clients so that I don't have to take on volumes and volumes of clients. On the note of, I was reading your bio and it said, when you upgrade the woman, the business results follow. And in my line of work, I could not agree more with that statement. I think there's probably multiple angles that this is, relevant. What does that statement mean to you when you say upgrade the woman and the business will follow?
Can I just say our work aligns so well, because of course you could have a rock star mindset and subconscious program, but if your health is shocking, it's not going to matter. Vice versa. So what I mean by that is your mindset, which is not how you think. It's that subconscious program. So it's the subconscious conditioning that you have must be upgraded. And the way that I like to describe your subconscious program, it's your computer system. And as we know, a computer will only operate like it's been programmed to operate. It's not going to do anything beyond its functions. And so your brain has been programmed in accordance with everything you got told growing up, every belief that was ingrained in you, and the experience that you lived formed your computer function. Now you're over here trying to do something that nobody in your family has ever done, earn money in a way that nobody in your family ever has. Therefore, you can't keep operating from that same computer system that is your mum and dad's programming. And I never say this to put our parents down. They did the best job they could. But the reality is their life isn't the life that we are over here creating. And so we need a new computer system. And again, my work is so much deeper than getting a journal out in the morning and writing down some affirmations. This work, as you were just saying, is the same with health. It's deep work. It's getting to the root of why you think that way when it comes to money, why those patterns keep presenting themselves when it comes to your health, your relationships, your business, and really understanding what parts of the brain and the subconscious we need to upgrade so that you've got a new computer system. A lot of my work as well is energetic creation. So we are energetic beings. Everything in our reality is simply an energetic possibility. And just like a radio station, you need to tune into the frequency of it in order to hear the music. In order to tune into the reality you want, you must be vibrating at the broadcast of the frequency and sending out that broadcast. And so this all ties in. The subconscious program needs to have the computer system to create what you want, which will then influence your thoughts and your emotional state, which has now influenced your vibration, which means now you're capable of actually creating and holding the tangible results that you want to bring in within your life. And your reality, the reality is your reality will always be equal to your identity. That doesn't matter. That means it doesn't matter how often you're posting online, how good your content is, how good your messaging is, how much you want this, how good you are at it. If your identity is in contrast to the reality that you are trying to create, there will always be an inconsistency, and it's going to take you a long time, which is why it took me a long time, really to get to where I am today, because I was working hard, but I wasn't upgrading myself behind the scenes. So that's what I mean when I say upgrade the woman behind the business in order to create the business results.
What were some subconscious beliefs that you had to release?
Work hard for money, which put me in this pattern of constantly feeling like I had to prove myself, prove why my work mattered, prove why women should work with me, just always be online, posting every single day, multiple times a day, on every single platform. The harder you work, the more money you'll make. And of course, when you are in this state of if I work harder, I will get what I want, vibrationally, you're actually sitting in lack. And so if we were to take a look at your broadcast, it's actually tuned into, I'm not doing enough, there's not enough, there's never enough. And so vibrationally, you are in lack. And so you're going to be a match for a reality that includes a lot of lack. And that looks like clients objecting to your prices, clients coming so close to joining your program and then deciding now is not the right time, having a huge income month followed by a dip in your income. These are all signs that you're in this vibration of lack because you're creating lack symptoms. Your computer, as you have it right now, will only perform the function it's programmed to create. And so I just didn't have the coding or the programming to create this beautiful life that I wanted. So how money is made and the avenue in which it comes through were two ones that I had to really focus on early days. At the moment, the one that I'm really still working through is this visibility belief. What will happen when the world really does see all parts of me? Do I want the world to see all parts of me? Can I build a brand where there's still, parts of my life that people don't get to see? I'm not necessarily afraid of, well, actually, I said here, so this is something I'm still working through because the business is in a lot of momentum, which means I'm holding a lot at the moment. And so it's pushing me to that next layer. But I actually had a reel go viral early last year and it popped off, which is what we all think we want. But unfortunately, it got sent to the wrong corner of the internet. And all the trolls came out calling me a fraud and just being really mean in the comments. Up until this point, I would say I'm a strong woman. Nothing would rock me. I know what I'm here to do. They're losers. I don't care what they have to say. But when this was unfolding, I just went into freeze mode. It upset me. I was getting so many new followers, so many great comments, but all my mind focused on was the negativity that was coming through from this post. And I said to Bart, holy shit, this has rocked me more than I thought it would, which proves to me that I still have a fear when it comes to visibility. And because that happened and because my nervous system experienced a bit of trauma around that comment, it's almost like it's been this uphill battle now to be okay with going viral again and ensuring that when I do, my body isn't going to react the way it did the first time. But there was obviously a reason why it happened. I'm obviously in the position to work through that fear. And I always say that to women, if you're seeing patterns unfold that seem negative, there is light in it because now you're forced to deal with whatever internally either created it or what needs to shift so that you can comfortably hold it when it keeps happening.
That is so real. And I think it's so courageous that you just shared that because I think that so many women, especially like powerhouse women, can relate to that. I know that I can, like, absolutely. Like you care about how you're perceived. It's your brand. Like you care about being respected, well received. But in this modern day of like the being exposed to millions of people from all over the world from completely different backgrounds, the concept of everyone understanding you is just like not reality.
Yeah.
You have built such an incredible business and you have such incredible clients. Like your brand is premier. It is luxury. It is beautiful. What do you feel like was a big needle mover for you that like helped you elevate and step out of previous levels and up and into a new level that's probably everything will be subconscious related, but what are some things that really moved the needle for you?
Other than, as you've mentioned, the subconscious programming that continues every single day, it's ensuring I'm always within the identity I need to be in order to see that growth in the business. But I think something that really skyrocketed my business was stepping into the premium space within my industry and really claiming I will be too expensive for some, and I love that about my work. Some will look at my work and feel not uncomfortable, but realize the standard is potentially higher than where they currently are. And I'm not the coach that would fit where they are at. again, raising my prices and really just ensuring that everything we're doing is really luxurious and premium, because I personally love that. I love seeing content like that. I love my life to be like that. And I think for a long time I was watering myself down because I realized not everybody wants to be at that standard. And then one day I just said, that's my standard, and it will mean some will fall away and some will no longer relate to my brand. But what it is going to open is the floodgates for the women who do appreciate, from a visual point of view, the luxury, the premium content, the bouginess that my brand is, but also the level of conversation that we are going to have when you're in my world. I challenge my clients. I don't hold their hand and tell them that everything's going to be okay. I call them out every single day on where they're playing small and what needs to change in their business. And the reality is not everybody is up to conversations like that. Not everybody is up to being moved in that way. But again, just saying, well, that's what my brand is, and you either love it or you hate it, and that's where I'm at. It's just such a good place to be when your work is not only changing people's lives, but is in rooms of this caliber, because that's where we really want it to be, right? Because we are so good at what we do and we know our work deserves the main stage. So to actually see it in rooms like that, it's a moment that I've been really proud of. And as I've mentioned, this is where we've been working to all this time.
And when I hear you say that, like, you really value like premium and like the best of the best, like, and the value of your work, what that screams to me is integrity and an addiction to quality. Like, you don't get quality for the lowest price. You don't get depth for the lowest price. You also were talking about how working hard, you had this belief around when you work hard, you will just inevitably get to the space where you want to be. And I see that in a lot of my clients too, where like they have been working so hard in the gym. They have been trying to cut their calories and cut their macros and skip meals and intermittent fast and, work really, really hard. And oftentimes that is not sustainable. That gets them nowhere near the goals that they actually have. And it actually breaks their performance. And what they find oftentimes when we come to work together is that it's not a more thing. It's we have to move more strategically. There is different things we're going to be prioritizing because these things over here are not on your radar, and they are actually what moves the needle. So in your work, I'm assuming that probably also translates from what I'm like picking up on. What are you seeing women do that's so like hard work focused, and what are their blind spots that you often see?
We live in a world dominated by the online space. And so the biggest one that I see is how addicted they are to showing up online. And I'm not to say you shouldn't be online. It's the most powerful marketing avenue, and it's where a lot of my clients find me. However, we get in this trap of posting more and being on so many different platforms and trying all the different trends and being a part of every trend. And we're just so in that part of our business, and it's not serving us because, so my big thing is do less, become more, or do less and do better. And so much like you and your clients, I strip it all back. I'm like, okay, tell me why you were posting this on your social media this week. And they'll usually say, because I saw blah, blah, blah do it and it's trending at the moment. Okay, it has no relevance to growing your business. You just did it for the sake of it. And it comes back to quality over quantity. And I think so many women are focusing on quantity over quality. So they're doing their things, they're ticking the boxes off, but they're coming at it from this energy that's not going to create the outcome on the other side of that move. So you actually are better off to strip the move back altogether, focus on updating your energy and your health so that whenever you do anything in your life, it's infused with the energy and the optimization within yourself to actually create the outcome that you want. clients will come into my world, and one of the first things I do is stop posting all of those trends, stop being so online all the time. Like, let's strip this back, and so that whenever you do add to the online noise, it has value to provide. And unless you've got value, don't worry about being online. And this can come, kind of side note, because we are talking about just constantly being addicted to the grind and the hustle. Last year I had a moment. I was online and all I could see was just noise. Everybody's accounts was starting to look the same. Everybody's on the same trends. Everybody's using the same verbiage. And I just got so frustrated with the noise. And so I took a massive step back myself in terms of the consumption online. But then I had to sit with, I can't add to this. If I'm getting annoyed by the noise, I can't be someone that's adding to this noise. And so again, that's why I take a look at my clients' workload when it comes to a space like social media and ask, is this you adding to the noise and just being there for the sake of it? Or are you actually providing value within your, in your realm of work? So that's a big thing. Another thing too is realizing there's so much crap you're doing in your life that isn't actually serving you. So like you mentioned at the start of the conversation you just had with your husband, realizing the amount of time we spend in our life on whatever it may be that's ultimately not getting us to where we want to be. So it's coming through and auditing your entire life. Where are you spending your time? Can we strip that completely? Can we delegate that? Can we get help with that? How can we actually make sure that you are showing up in the areas that is your zone of genius, where your strengths are? And unless it is, find somebody else to do it or get rid of it altogether. So yeah, I think just so many women are stretched far too much. They're working way too hard, but they actually don't need to, and they just haven't realized that yet. And it's having that guidance. Like, it's okay to strip things back. You are going to be okay. It's also programming their nervous system to feel safe with slowing down, which seems crazy. When we're exhausted and tired, we think we would just love a break. We'd love to just take off and switch off and be by the ocean. But most of the time, high-performing women do that and they freak the fuck out because their nervous system is not used to this calm, peaceful state. Their nervous system is addicted to the struggle and the chaos. And so it's like one thing to strip back all of the noise. It's another to program their body to feel okay being there, so they still make money when they are in those moments.
Anyone who's listening, I hope that you exercise discernment to recognize when advice is not applicable to you, especially on social media. Like, not everyone is the expert that they try to convey themselves to be, A. B, there could be a quote that's really great advice, but doesn't meet you where you are. You know what I mean? And it's just like, kind of ties back to the topic of conversation that we were talking about earlier of, you have so much wisdom within yourself, and stop seeking outside so much. Like, yes, mentorship is game changing. Get a mentorship that you deeply trust and who sees you and like actually is spending enough time with you to meet you where you are, which is usually the opposite of the lowest cost mentorship.
Yep.
Like, if you want a mentor that actually knows who you are and knows your business, and like in any realm, a health coach as well, like get a mentor that is actually spending time with you so that you can get advice that is applicable to you where you are and where you are trying to go.
How you'll become successful is whatever you believe in, and whatever you believe in will be true for you. And I've heard entrepreneurs say, I'm not even online and yet I'm making 7 figures in my business. And that's because they believe their strategy is going to work, whatever that strategy is. And this is why I always encourage people, whether it's their health, whether it's their business, find the approach for you and then believe it's going to work. And then avoid comparing your strategy to anybody else, because whatever you believe in will be true for you. And yeah, that means you get to do whatever you want to do in your business and it's going to work out for you because you believe it's going to work out. And that's why any strategy can work. And the ones that seem to be working for others is simply because you believed it was going to work for them.
I'm just really grateful that there is a you that exists. And I'm also so grateful that you were willing to come on and share your genius and brilliance. And one of my main goals in creating this show was to connect my community to brilliant voices around the world that are thought leaders and people that have that magic in them to help women believe in themselves, show them a different way. Like we as women now today have so much opportunity that we didn't used to have. Okay, now we have the opportunity. Now we need women like you to help us understand, how do we actualize that? How do we realize that new reality? So just wanted to say thank you so much. And I would love for my community to understand how to connect with you. Like, how can they work with you if they're really interested in doing that subconscious work and understanding, like, maybe there is something that's holding me back? How can they experience you?
Well, firstly, thank you for having me on your show, but thank you for creating a platform as you have created and connecting your audience with women that is ultimately going to make their life better. And I just love meeting women who genuinely care about other women and who are pouring their heart and soul into bettering their lives. So it's been an honor to be a part of this. As for finding me, so I'm over on Instagram, Jess Martin __. I would recommend you run to my website, which is just jessmartin.com.au, and download the sleep meditation and incorporate that into your routine every single night. You are going to sleep anyway, and it's going to begin to reprogram the brain and upgrade that computer system that we just spoke about. This particular track that's on my website will focus on success and wealth. So if you want to move to new levels within your financial life, but also, when it comes to your success, that track is number one. So go and do that first. We're always,
Okay, done.
I've got my podcast as well, which is Abundant and Aligned, and Leslie will be on there very, very soon. I'm really excited for that conversation. We have weekly episodes over there, either talking about the mindset, premium client attraction, or we have beautiful guests on like yourself. Otherwise, just keep an eye on Instagram. We're always opening masterminds and programs. The collective is currently open. Ultimately, if you're a woman.
Yeah, tell me about the collective. I know you just launched.
Which is very exciting. So it's a brand new high-end mentorship space. It's for the woman who is claiming high income months and moving into the high-end space within their industry. So a lot about the subconscious and the nervous system programming in order to hold large amounts of money and a lot of visibility, but then also the branding and the marketing required to move into the luxury high-end space within their industry. The goal is for these women to walk out the best and leaders within their industry and get paid a lot of money for the work they are already phenomenal at. So I'm really excited for this.
Hell yes.
And we've made it so bougie, so luxurious. The work is obviously going to be insane, but I just want the experience. I keep saying is the experience like you just had a VIP session in Dior and you're just being treated with a glass of champagne as you just get doted over. So that's the experience inside.
Hell yeah. So I saw that event that you hosted recently with everyone dressed to the nines. I was like, oceanfront views.
Yep.
Just absolutely lush.
Yeah, that was an incredible moment in the business, and just the feedback we got, because women just they want this expansion, but they're not absorbing it enough and stepping into these rooms enough. So I wanted the venue to take their breath away. Everybody had to wear floor length gowns so that they really had to step into that next level. The outfits became the decoration. It was insane. I'm excited to do more of them. So yeah, that's where you can find me. And if you've listened to this episode, send me a DM. I always like to just say hello and hear your feedback. Yeah.
I love that. Oh, amazing, Jess. I'm rooting for you so hard,
Likewise.
babe. And thank you so much for your time. If you loved this episode, share it with a friend and leave a quick review. And if you want to go deeper, everything you need, resources, programs, and ways to connect is in the show notes. And don't just save this episode. Pick one thing, apply it today, and let it compound. I'll see you next time on Becoming Her.